Welcome back to Prehistoric Reviews. As we're taking a look at the Netflix live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender, a series that has been expecting for a lot of people, Avatar fans, as this is the almost closest things that they are trying to do to get to the original, but also have to live up to the impossible bar standard that is of the live action Avatar, the last one, the movie by M. Night Shyamalan, which was so poorly received that everybody agreed that this film was just an atrocity to everything. But what is of the live action? Is it good? Is it hot garbage? Well, I'm here to say that it's not bad. Like I can't exactly say that they didn't put a lot of care into it. They honestly pretty much they did. Is that I have some other things that I think I'm not a big fan of. So to make it clear, I'm gonna try my best to not make it as a 1-to-1 comparison because of this, because the live action is very much doing its own thing that they are clearly trying to do. So I can't exactly compare it to the original show, though it might be a little bit impossible not to. So I'm laying that as a forewarning. Now, let me explain a lot of the positives I think they actually did with the show. For one, aesthetically wise, it looks really pleasing on the eyes. They put a ton of effort within getting the costumes and the right characters for all of it. The choreography is actually good, as well as the CGI for the bending of all of it, from the fire to water, earth, air, and even lightning, as well as we get a little bit of it. All of it is very much there. From every detail that they nailed it out of the ballpark. All the costumes and everything fits super, super well. And the environment as well makes it very much that it all came alive. They really went out of their way to make it so that that everything else feels great, from Amashu to the water tribes, and even the Fire Nation as well. They very much all have that very much iconic way of making it look, and have keeping their aesthetics the way it is. One thing I also do like the show is that they actually kind of combine a lot of arcs into one another. I think some work as some of them kind of work, but also some kind of don't in some cases, because I'm kind of torn between the two, because since it's constructed into only 8 episodes, they kind of have to shove a lot of things into it. So in one of the episodes for Amashu, they actually combine a lot of stuff Tio, Jet, and even have a cameo of Secret Tunnel as well in there. So that's a pretty big thing, honestly. And I'm saying that it probably does work a little bit, but also it kind of doesn't as well, because it's I'm kind of just, again, I'm torn on that, but I'm kind of thought it was an interesting way to put it, at least an interesting way to place them and kind of mix them up together. The other thing as well, I think that what they did with a lot of the other monsters, the kind of the spirits and a lot of the animals, I actually think were done pretty well. They honestly all very much accurate, from Momo to Appa to Ko and the ocean spirit. All those were very much great, and they even add some other details as well that actually I think people are going to like. I didn't expect to kind of have see some stuff for Zuko's crew when they are chasing down the Avatar in season 1. That was kind of a nice little detail that they kind of added in there, and they also kind of gave a lot of depth into a little bit of with Gyatso. So really, those are actually kind of nice changes that I kind of welcome into that, honestly. And now I'm going to put into a little bit of the negative stuff, because there are some things I think I very much had a problem with when watching the show. So one of the main problems that I had is that the entirety of the dialogue and very much just the character interactions with one another feels wooden. They don't seem very emotive, and a lot of it is just exposition. They very much just tell basically everything that they are thinking, everything they are feeling, everything they want to do, and what their motivations are. They kind of just give you the Wikipedia rundown article of basically what they very much are as a character. And I feel like that just takes away from so much of like what they are, because I would have expected the show to at least, try to do at least something with the characters to like make them feel as if they are developed in some sort of way, from like grow from like episode 1 all the way to like episode 8, which again, it's because of the constraints that they have, which is like only 8 episodes. But still, I think you could get away with a lot, at least in some cases with 8 episodes for the most part, if they're like all like an hour, like 50 to 45 minutes long. Acting wise, I don't think all of them did bad. Like, all of them very much committed to the roles that they were. It's just that I think some of the delivery that they give out is just like very like wooden and kind of just very stiff. Like, either they aren't like doing much or they're doing too much. I think the only ones I think nailed it out of the ballpark were like Aang, that even though despite they kind of took a little bit out of like the whimsical nature of him, I think they still did a good job with him. And then as well as like Zuko, I think I honestly did not have a problem with how Zuko was portrayed. Honestly, I think a lot of the tempers that he very much get in through, kind of like acting like a brat child, like a spoiled kid, fits well. I think the actor who played him did significantly like him. They did him justice, honestly, in that. And King Boomy, honestly, I think was done perfectly. He was absolutely just chef's kiss. But I think everyone else did their best. I think the only one that I think I have a complaint with is like Katara, who I honestly wish it wasn't her, because I not intentionally trying to go after Katara. She is like one of the other like many of the favorite characters that I have of the show. But I feel like with her, they don't give her a lot to do, and they allow like dialogue to kind of interact off of with. I mean, she does it doesn't mean like she doesn't have any dialogue like whatsoever. Like, she absolutely does. It just feels like the interactions sometimes just feel like very monotone, as if like she doesn't exactly know what other emotions to feel at the time. The next thing that I'm pretty sure you'll probably have seen that coming is that the 8 episodes are not exactly just great. I am starting to really get sick and tired of shows having to only be about 6 to 8 or like 8 episodes long, or like they don't make like just 25 episodes of something out there. Like, I get it, it's like a contract thing where like it's probably that they have to do it and have to work under those constraints, and if it is like just been like a normal thing, I get it. But still, if you're gonna make like a show of like a live action show, please just make it a show. Don't just give us 8 episodes, because it feels like it's just stifling so much in like such a compact way that I feel like it doesn't allow a lot of things to kind of go. Which kind of leads into the other point that's like tangentially like related to like the first point, is that that they kind of forgot a lot of like character growth, because when I was watching the show, I was thinking in my head that a lot of it was meant to have like a lot of the growth happening with these characters and how they're going to like develop. Maybe because I saw the original show beforehand, that maybe it was causing a lot more of my like childhood, like the kind of like the inner bias that I probably had with like watching the Netflix one. But I just couldn't like I just couldn't felt like a lot of things. Like, the only thing I was able to like kind of like feel like some sort of like emotions was literally when in like the first episode with like Aang and Gyatso, when Gyatso was like trying to tell Aang lightly that he's going to be the Avatar and that he probably won't need him anymore. And I thought that was actually kind of sweet. But like the rest of the other episodes, I just felt really hollow at them. Like, I kind of just felt bored watching them, even though I was meant to feel emotion in like specific moments. I really don't like. I just couldn't feel like a single thing out there, and it was like, and I hated myself for it, because I know I'm supposed to feel something this moment, but I just can't, and I feel like that without like those kind of like signals of like actual character development, since like everybody's like just going to say what they're going to say out there out loud, it doesn't leave a lot room for like a lot of people to like speculate what's going on in their mind, what are they thinking about, how their actions are kind of doing, and all that, how their interactions go. Like that, like I feel like they kind of just like miss that point, because it just doesn't allow the audience to kind of just think. like it kind of just spoons feed them the information entirely, constantly, so you don't get a chance to like assume what these characters do. They'll just straight up tell you entirely, and I feel like that's just like one of the worst things they can honestly do because it doesn't make it for like much of an enjoyable show, especially when they consider that they had to make this like appeal to Game of Thrones fans, which I don't know who's a Game of Thrones fans after anything. Like, listen, I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but all I know is that season 8 was like season 8 officially killed that show entirely. Like, it killed any talking around there. Okay, it's just now under like hush hush whispers. Like, you can't even speak about this. But anyways, I one a lot of the show I think does a lot of things good. I think some of the directions that they actually took was actually kind of nice with their little add-ons. But I also think they need to improve because a lot of the writing and the dialogue just feels not natural sometimes, and I feel like they kind of just like makes it so that like you kind of forget a lot of the character growth. Which, speaking of like at least some characters, a lot of the biggest things that Ramage was the biggest thing that was happening was of Sokka's like sexism. Now, I they technically didn't get rid of the sexism for the most part. Like I mean, the whole thing that happened with like, the Kyoshi Warriors, it kind of technically goes out the same way for the most part, just a lot more differently. And even when they get to like the whole Northern Water Tribe, they still actually have that sexism, like still play a bit of a role in that, but it's not a big role. It's kind of a small part, but it's just not like not as a big deal for it, especially when considering that this is like also meant to be like Katara's kind of like big moment as well. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not atrocious as like M Night Shyamalan, but I don't see this comparing out of there or at least getting close to the original show. I mean, if you do want to watch this show, if you haven't seen Avatar, I I think it's fine to watch it, but still, like the original show's like there for everybody to see. I don't know exactly why you wouldn't want to watch the original and or just pick the live action over it. And I more or less like I think that like the show did good. Like it's not saying that like they didn't care for it. They put a lot of effort to it, so they did care a lot on what they very much wanted to do. I think just need to like improve writing wise because of it. Like it was like I'm just not a big fan of like the writing of how they kind of like how they had like characters interacting off one another. I feel like and the absences of like their like side quests as well were kind of a bit of a detriment because they kind of get reference of their side quests, but it kind of just doesn't do anything. It kind of just was like, oh, we did oh, the Avatar kind of did this thing. Oh, well, the Avatar like did this thing. Like I feel like they forgot the phrase of like show don't tell, and the only thing they're able to just like tell and not show it. Like they can give all the descriptions that they want, but if you don't show it, I'm probably like not going to feel a whole lot about it. So, plugging the live action Avatar into the rating, I'm gonna give this a nice solid 50%. I won't judge you if you did end up watching the live action Netflix. It's pretty to look at, honestly. Like I wouldn't blame you, honestly. But still, the original's right there, and I'm probably going to pick the original over the live action any day of the week. So that's about the review. Bye bye.